Human rights groups now reporting Iranian courts have sentenced 4 more people to death over January's protests in Iran, including the first woman set for execution. Dr. Sheila Nazarian fled Iran as a child. She's now a plastic surgeon, lives in California, and she's back on our program and joins me now. Doctor, I want you to comment on this woman a moment here, but since the beginning of this war, these are the numbers we've tracked. 656 executions in 3 months, 341 in January, 307 in February, 8 recorded in March while Iran was offline. Let me get to being offline in a moment here, but you were talking about violations called crimes against God. And when a woman is executed in Iran, the details you provide are harrowing. Is this going to happen?
Bill, Bill, in Iran, just to let your audience know, they believe this regime, these Islamists, they believe that if a woman is killed and she's a virgin, she goes to heaven. So what they do is they will gang rape her before they execute her. And it's just mind-boggling to me, this Elizabeth Banks sitting comfy in a little cushy couch on a podcast with her hair slicked back, talking about how could anyone vote for Donald Trump. Well, you know, Kamala Harris posted on X yesterday that this is a war of choice, and Donald Trump is the only one helping these people in Iran. So Elizabeth Banks, this woman, Bita, is about to be gang raped and publicly executed, and so are 3 more women. And they have been doing this to many young people. Every single day, 1 or 2 public executions. So you're sitting there on your cushy couch talking about Kamala Harris. You claim to be a feminist. You claim to be a humanitarian. Where are you when the women need you? You're a fake. You are a hypocrite. You are of no help to anyone. So if you claim to be a feminist, you claim to be a humanitarian, you claim to be a good person, America, Iran isn't just a military war or peace in the Middle East or oil stabilization. This is a humanitarian issue. They are killing young people every single day. And the only one that has helped is President Trump.
You know, it's a lack of knowledge and understanding, really. And you understand it better than most. I think about that 19-year-old wrestler who was sentenced to death. I mean, just barbarian. But when I hear you talk
Bill,
about
let
this,
me tell
you talk about this as a humanitarian issue. Because you're thinking about 92 million people who have been subjected to this government for almost 50 years, Doctor.
Yeah, the reason why my family escaped Iran on the back of a pickup truck while the Iranian border police was shooting at us to not escape is because they put my father on a kill list because he was the chief medical officer, a physician affiliated with the Shah's hospital. Okay? I'm so grateful that my family got me out of Iran, me and my sister. They had 2 daughters. They could see this is no future for a girl in Iran. And imagine there are millions of people in Iran who knew westernization, who knew freedom 47 years ago, and they lost it because the useful idiots on college campuses, the leftists on college campuses, joined hands with the Islamists, which is exactly what's happening here. They're using the exact same playbook, the exact same propaganda. And they would say things like, why is the Shah living in a castle while there's homeless people on the street? There's no equity here. They use flowery words to trick comfortable, useful idiots on college campuses who have no real problems, to trick them into bringing Islam into the world.
Yeah, perhaps that's about to come to an end. We'll see on that. Quickly on this, New York Times, even as most Iranians remain cut off from the world, many officials and a limited cadre of Iranian elites have been granted an open connection through what critics call whitelisting. So we think, like, for 48 days, the internet has been basically out. Are you getting information from inside Iran that we have not been able to track down?
The only things that I'm hearing from Iran is that they don't want the bombs to stop. They are more afraid of this regime than they are of the targeted attacks that Israel and America are doing.
Doctor, thanks for coming on. Remember, we thought they were going to go to the street, but when you're faced with an execution in public, it can make you think differently. Dr. Sheila Nazarian, thanks for coming back from California. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, sorry about that. We had some technical issues with my mic. So, um, this is what many immigrants who know what's going on in countries like Iran are saying about President Trump. And we also repeat the same things about the useful idiots out there protesting, calling Trump a war criminal. And it's as if they block their ears whenever reports like this come out. They get these notifications that Iran is about to execute people, that Iran is hanging people, and then they're like, well, that has nothing to do with the fact that Trump is starting an unjust war. You guys know what I have to say about that. This war has been running for 47 years, so it's not a new war, and Trump is essentially trying to end the tyranny in Iran that facilitates what these guys are doing to the American soldiers and diplomats in other countries. Um, so it's horrifying hearing her describe how women are treated, how women are handled before their execution. I don't want to repeat it. It's not something that YouTube would like very much. Now, this is President Trump being asked by the press about this execution, and guess what his answer is?
Iran's going to execute 4 more protesters, reportedly, including the first woman protester. What do you tell Iran?
Well, tell that to the Pope. What do you say? Tell that to the Pope.
You want to patch things up with the Pope?
That Iran is going to. Did you just hear that? Iran is going to execute 4 people, including a woman?
That is the best answer he could have given. That's the best answer he could have given, because people like Pope Leo, I'm sorry, he essentially lost the respect of a lot of people when he began to attack what Trump was doing for the Iranian people. Remember, this is a war against the IRGC, not the Iranian people. The former conservative influencers, because right now they don't essentially qualify as being conservative influencers. If they could attack someone who is championing conservative causes, you may not like the way he talks about things. You may not like some of the things he has to do, but that is leadership, guys. That is leadership. And so the Pope does his Monday morning quarterbacking, talking about how Trump should do one thing or the other with immigration, and his statements about the war in Iran. And now they're about to execute the first woman, and we just heard how the Iranians treat women who are about to be executed. It's a license to assault them. To actually, multiple people will assault them tonight before the execution. So I don't know. I'm speechless that people don't have their eyes wide open to see what's going on. I'm totally speechless. I don't know what to say. Okay, but if you do have if you want to say something, just let me know in the chat. Now, Trump gave that masterful response about the Pope, and people have been lying for a while now, saying that his approval rating has been dropping, and CNN just released this report about his approval rating among Americans aged 65
Trump
and older.
actually has the best approval rating at this point in the second term of all of them. Donald Trump at 44%. Obama was under 40% at 39%. George W. Bush was way down there at 34%. So Donald Trump is beating other presidents this century at this point in their second term, beating all of them. And therefore, as I said, holding his own amongst a very key voting bloc. The President of the United States and the White House should like this number, especially compared to Obama, who Trump, of course, always likes to beat.
And this was George W. Bush after he started talking about reforming Social Security.
That's a bad idea.
Among seniors, it certainly is, the so-called third rail of politics. All right, talk to me how his number may have moved a little bit, President Trump's, and what that might mean.
Okay, so, we spoke about the midterm elections. So, oftentimes I ask myself, okay, the president isn't obviously up for election this November, but Republicans in the House, Trump.
Yeah, so those are the numbers coming from CNN. Now, there's a video that I found this evening while I was prepping for the show, and I thought that it was nice, just to hear. I had to check to see if this was AI, and it hasn't been fact checked. It's a Catholic grandma, and she's 107 years old. And let's listen to what she has to say. Okay.
I truly believe President Trump is healing America. I'm 107 years old, and I've been on this earth a lot longer than you have. I've been a devoted Catholic ever since I was born, and proud of it. To this day, I watch the Mass every single morning. President Trump did more for religious liberties than any sitting president ever was in office. Nick Adams created a beautiful photo back in February. His picture went very vulnerable, and he posted it in February. Now we are in the middle of April. The photo resurfaces because it was a beautiful photo. I, as a lifelong Catholic, did not take any offense to that photo. I was taught, being brought up in the Catholic religion, we were supposed to love one another. Pray for your neighbor and pray for both sides. Peace. I pray for President Trump and his family. He has a tremendous job to do. I don't have to say it, but do your own research. Google President Obama in a religious robe. Nobody made a big deal about it when he did it, and see what comes up. Follow me for more videos. And may God bless you all.
Okay, this is amazing. Okay, if this is crazy, 107 years old, and she's on social media making these reels. Okay, so what's her handle? I don't see a handle. Okay, but I guess you guys can find it somehow online and just follow her. Look, okay, so if you're out there and you're a conservative and you don't have any activity on social media, please get online, get active on social media, create content. One of the things that has inspired me to keep this channel going is the fact that I find that there's a lot of channels out there that post information from a certain perspective that isn't a balanced perspective. There are people out there who aren't conservative, who post all of this content claiming things that aren't factually true. They post lies or things that they were told in college, and they base their worldview on those claims, and they teach other people to think the same way. I was looking through X this evening, and I'm not going to show it, but I saw that there was a certain creator who had posted online about her miscarriage. And because she's conservative and she's not woke, the people on the left were gloating, okay, in response to her post about the fact that she had a miscarriage. Like, I was shocked to see it, but I wasn't so surprised because we saw what happened after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. We saw the celebration, we saw the approval, we saw Congress women and congressmen out there trying to defend the fact that he deserved what he got because he was racist, and they called all kinds of things. We've seen that this is the culture of the left right now. Today, this is the culture of the left. And I honestly think that it is irredeemable. They have been so infected by this group of people that they aren't going to be able to recover the original balanced conversations that people remember the left for. And when I say the left, I mean the Democrat Party. Maybe they disguised it so well that most people didn't see it. And I think that today they still disguise it quite well. Now, here's a conversation that happened on CNN concerning the spat between the Pope and President Trump. We heard the lady talk about her opinion of the photo. She mentioned how the photo was not originally created by Trump. Someone had created it in February. and it suddenly goes viral, and Trump reposts it. Now, these individuals on CNN are trying to blame Trump for what happened. So let's have a listen.
Donald Trump is the difference here. Donald Trump's reaction is the difference here.
But you would agree it's not uncommon for presidents of the United States to disagree with popes, right?
Sure.
I mean, your old
sure.
boss didn't agree on abortion or gay marriage, correct?
He was also a very devout Catholic who went to Mass
who happened to
Sunday.
disagree vehemently with the Pope on abortion and gay marriage.
Let's not conflate Joe Biden's Catholicism with the way Donald Trump talks about religion.
Well, he's off the theology on abortion and gay marriage.
All right, pause. Donald Trump is the difference here. Donald Trump's reaction.
So whenever someone does something wrong, it's Donald Trump's fault. If someone loses their mind and says something that they shouldn't say, is Donald Trump's fault. That's the narrative that we see over and over again. And it's sad that most people fall for this because the media sells it. The media sells it to the people, just like this video. They tell the American people, they tell people all over the world that Trump is an agent of chaos. Trump is a racist. Trump is a PDF. You know what a PDF is? I don't have to say it because we're on YouTube. They say all of these things, and they use the right words in order to generate a revulsion against Trump. I have not seen the degree of revulsion against any other human being like I have seen with what they've done to President Donald Trump. Now, when you look at how they talk about other presidents and how they talk about Trump, okay, you can see that there's a huge difference. It's like a spiritual and an emotional reaction when Trump's name comes up. Now, I want to change gears. I saw this video months ago, last year, and I said to myself, I would love for President Trump to find this video. And it happened today. President Trump just reposted this video, and let's listen to it and give me your thoughts in the chat. I would like to know your thoughts. We're going to be talking for a bit. And because this was something that I didn't know about, and this lady informed me that this happened.
If you stay to watch the video, please tag him down below, share, and repost so we can try to get this to him as quickly as possible and hope that he can do something with this. President Trump, as a supporter who voted for you 3 times, I am hoping and praying that you will revisit what Barack Obama and Joe Biden got rid of back in 2013, which is the Smith-Mundt Act, which held news corporations accountable for lying to the American people and spreading propaganda instead of truth. I think instead of bringing it back as a Smith-Mundt Act, you name it the Charlie Kirk Act, you make it a law, and you make it damn near impossible for these people to continue to lie to the American public, which has brought chaos, hatred, division, and anarchy all across this country. Fines out the ass, which will damn near bankrupt their company should they lie to the American people ever again. They can have their opinions, that's fine. They need to state that it is their opinion and that it is not a fact.
Now, for you guys who are watching, have you ever heard of this act? I hadn't heard of it before she mentioned it and before I saw this video. And I talked about it sometime last year. I can't remember, on one of my live streams last year. So this is crazy that this happened under Barack Obama. Yeah, the Black Jesus. He's the reason why the media, the mainstream media, can lie with impunity, spread misinformation, and gaslight you if you call them out.
Because of their constant lies, a man lost his life over it. Because of the constant hateful rhetoric of calling him a fascist and a Nazi and a white supremacist and a bigot, the same thing that they called you, this man is dead. I think this would be a great legacy for him to have a law named after him, to force journalists to finally start telling the truth and having the integrity that they have lacked for over a decade. I hope that this gets to you. I hope that you think about it and that you pass it into law. Because we are on a dangerous path right now with the constant lies and the propaganda, and that doesn't end just at news journalists. It needs to go to content creators who consistently spread lies and propaganda and half-truths across the internet. This needs...
Hassan Piker Destiny, the list goes on.
Needs to end. And people need to start being held accountable for baseless claims
I agree.
over absolute abysmal things. It needs to end. So please, if you have it in your heart to have the time to do this, get this in front of Congress, get this passed as a law, and start holding these news corporations, be they right, left, or center, accountable for their behavior.
All right, so if you're watching, please share this live stream. Hopefully, someone who watches it will get to this point. You need to call your congressman. You need to call your rep. You need to send them this video. You need to put pressure on them, because you know what? Now, remember what the lady at the beginning of this live stream said. The Dr. Hold on. Let me find that. Dr. Sheila Nazarian. Okay, she fled Iran as a child. She, of course, described the horrible treatment that women suffer in Iran just before they get executed, because Iran is about to execute the first woman. But here's the thing. She said that what we're seeing today in America is exactly what happened in Iran. They had the media lying about the Shah and his family. They had the media spreading falsehoods about the fact that there was malcontent in the society. How can the Shah live in his castle? And there's so much poverty. And they amplify the divide, the gap between the rich and the poor. It's exaggerated. It's exaggerated. The so-called poor that they're talking about are homeless people, and a lot of these homeless people are homeless by choice. They don't want to get off the streets because being homeless is profitable. In California, they get cell phones, they get paid to be homeless. And then they use that as ammunition to attack capitalism. So it's shocking that that people in the United States and in Europe are being warned over and over again. She's not going to be the last person to give this warning, and she isn't the first. I share these things and I talk about it regularly in my videos and on my live streams. I talk about this regularly because I feel like Western civilization is is about to drive off a cliff at full speed, and we're at different points on the road to that cliff, screaming, "There's a cliff! There's a cliff! Stop! Stop the wokeness! Stop the insanity!" Like we're screaming and trying to stop them. This act that was that was initiated or confirmed or approved or passed by the Obama administration is possibly the most destructive thing that Obama may have done. There are many, but when you can allow mass media to be weaponized against truth, where the media can lie with impunity with no consequences, that is why I have what we have right now. I did mention earlier that there hasn't been a president or an individual that has been so vilified for no good reason. For no good reason, like President Trump. And you can trace that through line all the way back to the media. The media has spread a mass psychosis by the lies and untruths that they've told. So please share this video, like this video, if possible. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share the link. I'm going to share the link to this video in the chat. I'm going to just share it. And I want you guys to take that link in the chat and I want you to share it. Okay, I want you to share it. I want you to share it to as many people as possible and get them to call their rep, their congressperson. It's in the chat. Okay, send it out there. Because many times we do a lot of talking. We're keyboard warriors. but very few of us actually do what we should do. We don't get out to vote. We don't call our reps. We don't hold our senators and congressmen accountable. I talked about this this afternoon. I said, look, we all want to see our person in the White House. But I would like to say that the White House is actually possibly the least powerful branch of the government because of the guardrails that the Constitution has in place. Start with your school boards. Okay, why school boards? Because that's where they educate the next generation. The next generation has been poisoned. Will America and the West survive the absolute poisoning that has happened in the educational system? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not here to spread doom and gloom, but I'm here to be very factual and say, look, from what I've seen, it is going to be steep. It's going to be steep, and I don't know if you can recover. Then you look at your local representatives, your judges. Conservatives ignore the election of local judges, and then you have your state reps, and then your reps in Congress. You need to take these things really seriously. I don't know why this is coming up, but I'm glad that this video is triggering that conversation, and I hope you would take this link that I've put out in the chat and use that as something to just send out to your friends and say, look, this is something that is responsible for all of the craziness we're seeing. Look at all of the anti-ICE riots that happened in the last year. Trump gets into office and the protests are back in full swing. Okay, funded by leftists. No one is asking serious questions. Where were these protests when inflation was through the roof under Joe Biden? Where were the protests? So it's something that's weighing heavily on me right now. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I think about the future, and I'm like, I don't think some of the consequences of what's going on right now in culture will be seen by us, those of us who are watching right now, because most of us are over 35 years old. It's going to take a while, but the destruction is coming if nothing stops it. And for me, I'm teaching my kids, I'm talking to them about history. Listening to this lady talk about how the Iranians assault women because they want these women to be executed and for them to go to hell. And their excuse for assaulting these women in the jail cells is that it is part of the punishment that they get to hell when they are hung. This is an evil civilization. And when I say civilization, I mean way of life. Of course, mainstream media lost their minds when Trump used that phrase. They lost their minds. The likes of Megyn Kelly, who is a lawyer, who should know better, lost her mind. Alex Jones lost his mind over a simple word that means way of life. That's the civilization that Trump was talking about, a civilization that sexually assaults women who are arrested for protesting, demanding that their country be freed. I totally understand what the Dr. Nazarian's dad was escaping, because that's why I moved my family to North America. So guys, let me know in the chat what you think. Let's change gears and go back to the Pope. The Pope is is doing his rounds again. Pope Leo is now claiming that the fear of Muslims in Europe is brought on by people who are anti-immigration, not because of the thousands of women being sexually assaulted and murdered across Europe by immigrants. This is literally Barack Hussein Obama's scripting point. Let's have a listen. Okay, here we go again with the feed. So Let me know in the chat. I really want you guys to, just give me your thoughts in the chat. The chat is quite silent tonight. That's fine, but I'm letting my voice be heard on this matter. So just let me know what you think in the chat.
That in Europe there are many times fears that are present, but oftentimes generated by people who are against immigration and trying to keep out people who may be from another country, another religion, another race.
Pope Leo just lied. People aren't against immigration. They are against illegal, mass, unchecked immigration. That is the difference. So when you see people like him, I'm sorry, but wearing the hat and the habit of a religious person doesn't make you holy. So he's lying. He's leaving out key details, and he is facilitating the destruction of Western culture. Period. By doing this, he has taken the side of the leftists by using these words, and of course, people are calling him woke and so on.
And in that sense, I would say that we all need to work together. One of the values of this trip is precisely to raise the world's attention to the possibility that dialogue and friendship between Muslims and Christians is possible. I think one of the great lessons that Lebanon can teach to the world is precisely showing a land where Islam, Christianity are both present and are respected, and that there is a possibility to live together, to be free.
Okay, so does anybody have any experience living in Lebanon? Let me know in the chat. But when you have southern Lebanon firing rockets into Israel, of course, we know Hezbollah is responsible for that. Okay, I don't know why they leave these key details out. He picks on Lebanon, but Lebanon is routinely firing rockets into Israel, and he leaves that out.
Friends, stories, testimony, witnesses that we heard even in the past 2 days of people helping each other, Christians with Muslims, both of whom had their villages destroyed, for example, of saying we can come together and work together. I think those are lessons that would be important also to be heard in Europe or North America.
All right. So that's the Pope again pushing a narrative. Now, I don't know, guys, help me out in the chat, because it's harder to ignore some of these things being said. And this is the guy that everyone is running to defend because he said something that Trump essentially said, no, this is wrong and stay in your lane. And they're all attacking Trump. Of course, we just saw the video where CNN took his side and said that Trump's response to his post about Iran was overboard, and Trump is the problem essentially. Now here's President Trump responding to the situation with the Epstein survivors. Okay, they call them survivors. Patricia has some choice words to say about the so-called survivors. President Trump says he's totally okay with the Epstein survivors testifying to Congress under oath. But listen to what he says next.
On Congress to further look into and uncover the truth on the Epstein files, the Epstein saga. Do you believe that there should be a public hearing for more of these Epstein survivors?
Well, I'm okay with it. I think we've had a lot of public hearings. I'm okay with it, but I understand that the women didn't want to go under oath. That's what I heard, that the women, the victims or whatever, they refused to go under oath, which was a little surprising. Now, Melania felt strongly about it because she was accused of that I met her through Epstein, but it turned out to be totally false. It was
so you know what happened last week when Melania went on a press conference to call for the survivors to testify in Congress. And immediately left-wing media began to scream that, Melania is hedging her bets because something is coming. You had Alex Jones. I'm sorry, man, but I mean, right now, it seems like it's time for you to start planning to retire or just restyle yourself as a leftist. Because Alex Jones's take on this was just outlandish. He said that Melania must know something is coming, and so she is distancing herself from Trump by making that press conference. Well, here is Trump saying that he agrees with Melania. And as far as he's concerned, they should testify. But many of these women don't want to testify under oath. I wonder why that is. Now, let me know in the chat why you think that is. Why do you think these women who have made a lot of podcast appearances, okay, some of them have given statements to mainstream media claiming that they are so offended at the Trump administration's handling of the Epstein situation? Why do you think they have refused to testify under oath? Of course, people will say, well, they're afraid. They're afraid that they are going to be attacked and so on. But the question is, if you are being protected by the federal government and something happens to you, then it shows that that there's something very, very wrong, and we can all point our fingers at the Trump administration from that point on. But they would rather be out there in the wind making statements. Everyone knows who they are, and they think that they're safe, not talking. I don't know about that. It doesn't. It doesn't pass the smell test. It doesn't pass the smell test. Kamala Harris is in the news again, and here she is standing beside a signboard. The Democrats are so predictable, and she's a California Democrat. Last week we had Rokana doing the same thing, standing at the pumps, pointing at the prices, and then here she is in North Carolina. Okay, she says here in North Carolina and around the country, gas prices are too high. This is a direct result of Trump's war of choice in Iran, and the American people are paying the price. Well, she left out the fact that the Iranians are about to gang assault a woman and hang her either tomorrow or in a few hours. She left that fact out conveniently, okay, as a woman. Well, let's listen to her. Let's play.
Hey everyone, so I'm here in Charlotte. Since the start of Trump's war of choice, it's $15 more every time you fill up your tank of gas. The price of diesel has now gone up 80% since the start of the war. And you best believe that's going to carry over to how much you're paying for all the goods that are being transported on those semis. We've got a president who is paying more attention to what he thinks is in his best political interest and personal interest, as opposed to what is in the best interest of working people in America.
Well, that is a stupid statement, because everyone knows that it wasn't in his political interest to start to have this war. Everyone knew it before it happened. I knew it. But the question was, would Trump sit idly by and do nothing? Well, Kamala Harris was instantly responded to by the Oil and Gas Association, and they said, "Good evening from the good evening from the coconut tree," at Kamala Harris. Ma'am, can we call you ma'am? We'll keep this factual and review your actual record, not your reboots. As a U.S. Senator between 2017 and 2021, you were an original co-sponsor of the Green New Deal resolution. It directed the U.S. to divest from fossil fuels, phase out oil, gas, and coal production, and remake the entire economy around subsidized green mandates. Your 2020 campaign was shorter than a garden gnome, but managed to work in these gems. You told the CNN town hall, "There's no question, I'm in favor of banning fracking." Oh, on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show, You said, we will end fracking once and for all while committing to the Green New Deal. Your $10 trillion climate plan called for no new fossil fuel leases on federal lands, phasing out all oil and gas, even if renewables weren't ready, a carbon-free, and doubling U.S. payments to the UN Green Climate Fund. Before that, as California Attorney General, 2011 to 2017, you built a reputation suing the oil and gas industry. The lawfare you pursued laid the foundation for the collapse of the California refining industry we are witnessing right now. You even sued the Obama-Biden administration to block new offshore permits off California's coast. Remember 2022? As VP, natural gas prices hit $5 per gallon, over $6 in parts of California. You told Americans those record prices were a price to pay for democracy for Ukraine. I love calling out the hypocrisy of these guys because when they were making these outrageous decisions, sponsoring a war in Ukraine, it wasn't a war of choice. No, it wasn't a war of choice. It was a war for democracy. Trump does the same thing, and it's a war of choice. But apparently, the freedom of millions of Iranian citizens are not worth $3 a gallon now. That seems, I don't know, selective. Bottom line, California still pays the nation's highest gas prices thanks to the taxes, mandates, and anti-production policies you championed for years. Flying cross-country made possible by jet fuel to North Carolina to make a video isn't going to change that. And those are the facts, unburdened by what has been. I love this response. All right. So, guys, let me know what you think of this clapback that Kamala Harris just received by the people in the industry who know what they're talking about. It's one thing for someone like me to look at this and say, oh, why are you attacking Trump for trying to save the people of Iran from the insanity that's running rampant there? But it's another thing for the people who actually are in the oil and gas industry to bring the receipts, and they brought the receipts. Okay, so let's know your thoughts in the chat. All right, so let's just change gears one more time. Okay, so this is a typical night at Greg Gutfeld's panel. And here he is responding again to Jessica Tarlov. I don't know why Jessica Tarlov has these insane takes. No, I know why. Okay, she's left-leaning. They believe the most outlandish things, and to be honest with you, it's fine that she's there because it gives a more balanced panel. Okay, I'll be honest, it's good for these people to speak. We should let them speak so that we know what they're thinking. And here she is talking.
You can't understand Trump because his political decisions align with his personal and patriotic ones. You understand Kamala, like you understand Gavin, you understand Biden because their political decisions are divorced from the things people want. Why are you on the 20 of every 80-20 issue? Is because you divorced political desires from human needs. And then you have to dress up your decisions as compassion when they're merely wants from an activist class. The thing about Trump is, I don't care whether you like him or hate him, you're suffering from the Trump-America alignment problem. Political, personal, and patriotic desires all stack up, which means what he wants, the country tends to want. If it's 80-20, he's on the 80, you're stuck on the 20.
They wanted the tariffs.
Your defenses are getting more and more narrow because you say, we keep saying the same thing every day. It's because we have to, because you don't listen.
I do. All I hear in my head is your voice.
You know what? You're lucky. This is the voice of God.
No Americans wanted the tariffs. They didn't want the war in Iran.
They would
and they don't want
him.
The ballroom.
What do you got?
What do you got?
Look at what you have on your side. It is a
more
clown
jobs,
car
more
of,
GDP.
of carnival atrocities.
I can't wait for elections.
All right, Jesse.
Well, have you ever met someone on the left who made sense on any of these policies? Let me know in the chat. All right. All right. So tonight, we're going to be keeping this short. I have to help my son with his chemistry homework. And fun fact, I hated chemistry in high school. So wish us luck. Yeah. So let me know in the chat, in the comment section, what you think of the stories that we just covered. There are things happening that get my attention. The stories that we covered today got my attention, and I'm like, why is it that it just seems like no matter what happens, people still make these crazy decisions to support the left? Why is it? Oh, and before I forget, please don't forget the link to the post. The lady who made the argument, not the argument, but essentially revealed the thing with the Smith Mud Act. I'm going to share that screen again. I'm going to put it up. The Smith Mud Act. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I shared the link in the chat. Okay, so if you're watching this after the fact and you don't have it, you can ask for it, and then I'll make it available. I wonder at the fact that we still have to talk about these things over and over again. But I think it's healthy for us to remind ourselves of these things because the news cycle moves so fast. And one of the things that I don't want to have to do is to chase the news cycles. Like it's tempting to chase the news cycles. What's going on? And let's talk about that. And I feel like it's like chasing I used this example this afternoon. A cat chasing a laser. It's like you're trying to grab something and you can't really grab it because the news cycle shifts so quickly. So for me, I think looking at policy arguments, things that we can latch onto and say, can we make this one change? I mentioned the SAVE Act. Okay, I mentioned the SAVE Act. And I think the SAVE Act is going to be the most important piece of legislation that the Trump administration could pass. The One Big Beautiful Bill was a great victory, but the SAVE Act and then followed by the Smith-Mundt Act. I don't know how it's spelled, but the link is in the chat. Okay. If these two are passed, it does several things. One, the SAVE Act stops the over 10 million illegal aliens in the country from staying long enough to become citizens and swearing their allegiance to the Democrat Party. Then on the other side, this repealing the Smith-Mundt Act is going to protect the American people from future brainwashing by mainstream media. Because if people are allowed to lie with impunity on national television, cable, and so on, without any repercussions, it's a huge problem because people keep hearing these lies. Now, if you're a parent and you're watching my content, I would like to tell you this. It is your responsibility to educate your kids. It is your responsibility to make sure that your kids know all they need to know about the news, about politics. You need to educate your kids. Don't let the school system do that job. Don't. I talk to my kids about politics regularly, all three of them, even the 3-year-old. I tell them, look, here's how you make political decisions. And how do I do that? I talk about it when we read the Bible. Tonight, we read from, I think it was Nehemiah chapter 5. And in Nehemiah chapter 5, Nehemiah was a governor in the region of Judea. Okay. And he was describing what he had to do to make sure that the poor people were not further oppressed by their own people, and his own personal commitments to not become a burden to the people who were already struggling. Because as a governor, he had things. He was entitled to supplies of wine, grain, and so on. But he refused to take any of those benefits. The moment I read that, I was like, that reminds me of Trump. Trump hasn't received any salary for his 2 terms. He has refused to receive any salary. As a president of the United States, he has refused to receive any salary. And I just thought to myself, wow, that sounds like Trump. Of course, and then I discussed with my kids and so on. It is your responsibility as a parent to talk politics with your kids. Don't wait until you send them to the government re-education camps, the middle schools and high schools, or you send them to the to college where they finish the job. Don't relegate your responsibility, even of teaching them the Bible, to the church, to the pastor or the Sunday school teacher or the priest. You need to be the priest in your own home. You need to teach the Bible to your kids. It is important. It's important. I do this because I'm concerned for my children and my grandchildren. That's why I do this. And so we should all take that responsibility. Okay, so that's why I'm giving you this link. Share this, do something about it. Look, I think I'm tired of watching live streams where people just get upset and then they do nothing with that passion. You get upset about the protests. You laugh at the leftists when they can't even answer basic questions about why they're protesting. All of that is just sugar. It's just junk food. I want a live stream that gives me information, that arms me with resources that I can use. And do you know what? I think I would like to build that here. If I find something that's useful, I share it. Okay. So I would really like you guys to take the takeaway from this is what's going on, but what can we do about it? Vote local, state, and federal. Don't be too busy to get out there and vote. It's really that simple. If you don't vote, you're simply inviting the madness to continue. Well, guys, I have to go help my son with his homework. The live chat hasn't been as active as it usually is. Maybe most of you are watching from your TVs, but if you're watching after the fact, let me know what you think in the comment section. I really want to know. I enjoy talking with you guys and responding to your comments in the chat. And let's be more vocal. But let's do this. Let's take responsibility for educating our kids politically, spiritually, morally. Let parents parent once again. I'm having to go and sit with my son to try to help him out with a subject that I hated in high school. Most of us hate politics. Most of us hate sitting down and having to read the Bible because it's a struggle for a lot of people. but you have to do it because you need to be the parent in your kids' lives to educate them for their future, for the future of your grandchildren. It's important. Okay. So, guys, thanks so much for watching and hanging out. I'll be back tomorrow for another live stream. I'm not sure if I will do a daytime live stream. No. Tomorrow is Friday. I will be doing a daytime live stream tomorrow, and I hope that you will be joining us for that one. The nighttime live streams, I might be doing a midnight live stream my time. I might be doing that because I want to spend the evening with family when everyone is in bed. Maybe I come up and do a live stream. We have a new video on our main channel that just went live last night, and I would like for you guys to please head on over to the main channel and watch that video. If you don't have the link to if you don't know what the main channel is, it's just Crossroads IRL. Type that into the the YouTube search, and you will find Crossroads IRL. Okay, need to go help out my kid with his homework. Thanks for watching, and God bless you. See you on the next one. Bye.